Hey, how are you? Them brothers from Inglewood podcast, once again coming to you live and direct. We're in a different location. We're in the Windy City. Yeah, that's right, Chicago, Illinois. And it's been a great few days that we've been down working and strategizing and fellowshipping with family. Um, my co-host is not here, Charlie Mack. I'm Hoopy, and I do miss him. And we'll get back in the studio in a couple of days when I return. Um, hey, it's been a very exciting time here. Also, there's been some things that have transpired around the country that really stirred my heart and helped me to focus in on realities that happen from day to day. No one is exempt from situations and circumstances. Some positive, others are not so positive, but I'm learning how to tunnel through and be optimistic. And hopefully, today, before I introduce the topic, we'll be able to reflect and go a little bit deeper as it relates to where we are at the present moment. But first, let me say thank you to the Coalesce Group, which has allowed us to partner with them, and they are doing tremendous things in the way of education. That industry has been impacted through COVID-19 pandemic, and a lot of the student body has been restricted to just online classes and social distancing, and it has been a very traumatic situation for our youth, especially our really small young people that really rely on engaging and socialization, and it has been very tough for them. I can speak personally because my children are teenage and adolescent, and my daughter at 10 years old really misses her friends, and she talks about how she missed the days where we set dates for them to come together with their prospective groups. And my heart just goes out, and to my teenage sons, Micah and Jeremy. They are really adjusting, and I don't know if this will be a positive for them. We're hoping that it will be, so that it will be a teaching moment for them as they develop and go off to college and eventually start their lives and their families. So my heart goes out to all of the youth of America and to educators, administrators, and those that are working tremendously hard behind the scenes and on the front line to ensure that our children and our college age students are getting what they need under the circumstances. The other thing is, without companies like the Coalesce Group, it is very difficult to navigate in and out of situations that are impactful, because families are obviously affected by the transition, and so our heart goes out to those that are challenged. And thank you again to the Coalesce Group and to Fruit Off the Vine Clothing Apparel for everything that you have allowed us to accomplish through partnership with you. Thank you so much, and we look forward to strengthening our relationship moving forward. Um, so you probably want to know, what is he going to talk about being in another state and outside of his comfort zone? Well, I just want to say that I travel quite a bit. It was slowed up due to COVID and those CDC restrictions. However, I'm back in the saddle. I just got back into the rhythm after a year and a couple of months. I think the last time I traveled was February 2020. And I have not hopped on a plane, train, helicopter, or any other advanced motor uh, transit type of situation. So it is it's different, but I'm grateful that I was able to make this trip for work, and of course, it's always great when you can be with your family and see family. So, what are we going to discuss today? I want to talk about the impact of decision making. What do you mean? Well, decisions need to be made all the time. We need to be consistent. We need to be persistent and determined. Also, it really derives from wisdom. A lot of times we make decisions under duress, under certain situations. And so today I just kind of want to, talk about a couple of points that I believe will be helpful to you that are viewing and listening in. And I also want to say, please like, subscribe, share. Like, subscribe, and share this content so that others will come to know and understand that my brother and I are consistently on the podcast doing some things that would be realistic, raw, authentic, organic, just real conversations, talking about some of the tough things that we experience and go through. And so I just kind of want to tackle, this area that will help us moving forward. Now, when you talk about decision making, it varies. It has a lot of range to it, and I think it's fundamentally right that we think about the decisions that we make because they're twofold. They affect you and they affect others that are attached to you or that are concerned about you. So when this conversation came up a few days ago about incarceration, male, female, young, adult, it doesn't matter what the age category is, it really has an impact to not just the one that's doing the time, but everyone that's concerned about that individual. So I'm going to use that as an introduction and opening topic discussion. Whereas when people are incarcerated, whether they deserve to be locked up or detained or not, you still have a sense of empathy. I know a lot of people have done some heinous crimes and they have just really broken the law to a large extent, and you tend to judge that. You feel like, well, hey, they did the crime, do the time, and I understand. I agree. If you go out and commit a crime, you should suffer the consequences. You should pay your debt to society. But the impact that I'm speaking of, and I want to place an emphasis on, is how it affects those that are related to you, those that are associated with you, those that have a direct or indirect relationship with you. So when someone is incarcerated for a crime and they get sentenced to do time for that particular crime, you have to consider that your decision impacted your parents, your relatives, your siblings, your colleagues, your coworkers, people in your community, people that are connected to you in some type of way. that decision that you made impacted them. And I can speak to this because my brother Charles and I have talked about it many times. You've heard us even in previous content and shows. We discussed our older brother who has been incarcerated for a number of years. And we have also done emotionally, we've done time emotionally, psychologically, just as long as he's been detained and serving time. And it has affected us differently, but it has impacted each and every one of us. Not only our feelings about him and his incarceration, but how it affected my mother, how it affected my grandparents, my mother's father, my grandfather. You know, we refer to him affectionately as Big Daddy. He's no longer with us. He's deceased now. And he talked about this for many, many years on a consistent basis. You know, it seems like when he thought about my brother or when my brother's name came up, he chimed in. I don't care if he was at the other end of the house. He made his way to the front room or wherever we were congregating, and he shared his opinion. You know, and a lot of times he was very sensitive and somewhat angry about my brother's incarceration, and he didn't see the justice in, you know, sending a young person, you know, to prison. But also, I think he looked at the dynamic by which he experienced growing up in the South. You know, my grandfather was from Louisiana, and, you know, in those southern states, it was a lot of variables as to, you know, what was transpiring, you know, legally and illegally. So I just think it was a mixture of his emotions when he began to express himself about my brother's decision. Now, we often talked and, you know, discussed this with my brother, and I don't want to make the show per se about my brother. I just kind of want to let you know that decision making is critical. Decisions that we make impact people in a indirect way, but also the collateral damage of it, it's overwhelming. So with the emphasis on how that, you know, affects us, I use my brother because he's dear to me. I love him. We're close. You know, we've been apart for a long time, but my love never waned. My feelings for him never changed. And I felt, you know, as did my younger brother, rest in peace, Christopher, he's deceased, and Charles, you know, we call him Charlie Mack. You see him all the time. It affects us differently. However, we shared in that emotional and psychological time spent behind those bars, you know, thinking and wrapping our minds around what goes on in prison and how that system and that life really is. And we've all seen movies, we've read literature, we've heard discussions. We've even had, you know, conversations with people who have been incarcerated, who has come out of the system, some that are still in the system. And it's just not a refreshing conversation. It's very emotional. And so I say that to say that you've experienced some other things where there's been loved ones and people related to you who have made decisions that resulted in really bad consequences for that individual. And then we find ourselves sharing some and some likeness to what that individual that we're related to had to go through and is going through. And so I say that to say that, you know, these individuals may need product to be sent to them in prison. They may need communication resources where they call you collect, or they want to call you collect, or they want you to call other people and connect them with that line. They want you to handle business that they obviously is not able to handle. They want you to send financial resources because they're not in prison per se working. And if they are working, it's not a reputable salary to where, and after all, why would you be earning a salary while you're in prison for a crime that you committed? And the idea of it is to be punished. So you think about all these different things of how we are directly attached, to these circumstances, and it's all based on decision making. You got people that are simply just I don't want to say delusional, but they're absent from the idea of sharing some form of connection with people who have made poor decisions. Even with our children, they make decisions that we as adults, as parents, have to follow up on. We have to, share wisdom, and we have to give input. We have to make decisions behind those decisions because we are the parent, and this is what we do as parents, and even those that are just aunts, uncles, grandparents, cousins. You find a sense of responsibility to impact or to pour into those individuals. So decision making is critical. And if we take a closer look at the decisions that we make, we won't repeat poor decisions. I was told this for many years by my own mother, and thank God for you, Mom, who has always been responsible and has always held my brothers and I accountable for the things that we've done, the things that we said. And I just appreciate that because it allowed me to, impart that to my young people. When I became a parent, I wanted to express the importance of being honest, integrity, character, and accountability. And a lot of times my children, they didn't, like it. And even today, I'm sure they don't appreciate, some of the things that, I had to articulate to them and tell them or show them. However, they'll be fit for the journey when they begin to process this information moving forward in life. So decisions come to shape our lives. It comes to help us develop. They come to point us in a direction that will ultimately help us land on our feet. If I was to ask you what major decisions or what decisions became major in your life when you look in retrospect, what were those decisions, and how did you get back on track? How did you regain traction from a poor decision? I think this is food for thought. This is something definitely we can continue in discussion, because I'd like to bring in some others who can chime in on some of their experiences, whether it be personally, socially, academically, economically. However, some decisions have really shaped and altered our life. The other thing I want to say is this: not only does incarcerated people impact us that are on the outside, we also make decisions in everyday life that can alter our future as it relates to careers, earning, money. It can affect us from an economical standpoint, because it can change the course of how we live, our quality of life. When I was a student athlete in high school, one of my coaches, he was my basketball and football coach at one time. However, he really talked about the quality of life. Rest in peace, Coach Carl Franklin. Thank you for the wisdom and the advice that you consistently gave me when I was coming along as a young, adolescent, because he would always talk about the importance of your academics and how that looked moving forward, because it gave you, if you handled your business in the classroom and you were able to move on to college, and I know college isn't for everyone, but if you were able to move on to college and obtain a degree, that was an opportunity to get through the door. Now, what you did when you went behind that door, that was strictly on you, but at least you had the ticket to get in. And he felt the degree would enable you to get through some doors that you normally wouldn't get through if the requirement was to have a college degree from an accredited university. So I'm not saying that blue collar workers aren't successful, and that I look at blue collar workers any different than I would someone that was working in corporate America or someone that was degreed and certificated. I'm not saying that, because I know blue collar workers that make way more, financially than some of the corporate, people that we know. Some of the, ones who have obtained not just one degree, but multiple degrees. I know guys that work in professions that make pretty much twice that amount of money. So I'm not limiting anyone to just having a college degree. I'm saying that decision making is key in no matter what profession that you're in. And so you're probably wondering, well, why is he talking about decision making? Of all things, why are we on this topic? Well, I'll tell you why. Because poor decisions can alter your future. It can cause great disappointment and destruction. There is so many biblical scriptures that really explains to us the importance of wisdom. And I know some of you are not considered religious, or you're not into God and all of that, and that's your prerogative. But the Word of God tells us in Proverbs that wisdom is a very significant thing. We should obtain wisdom. We should ask God for wisdom. The application of wisdom goes hand in hand with knowledge and understanding. Wisdom, knowledge, and understanding goes hand in hand. We need to apply all three at all times and in all phases of our life. So what do you mean? I'm saying that if we begin to really judge the things that are happening in our life and take a step back, take a deep breath, and focus in on what is the best situation and decision for us at that moment. Many of us we react on impulse, emotion, based on the situation, the timing of it. We don't apply patience. We haven't learned how to successfully wait. But if we look at the ramifications, I think it's called insight, foresight. We definitely know what hindsight is, because hindsight is always 2020. You can see the things from the past so clear, because when mistakes are made, you learn from them, or we should learn from them. And so I really just, I wanted to just kind of throw this topic at you so we can create some dialogue, and hopefully, when I get back into the studio next week, we'll be able to add some pieces, some moving pieces to this component, because I know my brother Charlie Mack is going to really be excited to chime in, and we're already arranging guests to come into the studio. So I just kind of wanted to share briefly from a personal standpoint of how decision making really impacts us and how it has really impacted my life. And I'm learning. That's key. I'm still learning how to, of course, make sound decisions. I'm learning how to not let my emotions play the significant role in how I process and execute the things that I need to do. Sometimes you don't have a lot of time, as in a window, to determine or decide certain things. But I believe when it's critical enough, you have to ask for time, or you have to take time before making a crucial decision. It's like signing legal papers. Well, if you don't read through the paperwork and look at the fine print and you sign a legal document, then you're liable. You're actually, through a contractual transaction, committed to whatever it entails in that contract agreement. So it's very, very crucial that we take time before making decisions, because they will ultimately affect you in your future. The last thing I want to say this, and then I'm going to let you go. We are really endeavoring to bring great content to you, to this platform. We would really appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, and share it, and that you would tell others that we will be posting new content every Tuesday. I believe it's 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and on Friday as well, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I know you that are on the East Coast and in the Midwest are a couple of hours ahead of California, but we want to be consistent in presenting you information, and we want you to look on our social media platform: YouTube, Vimeo. We're on Facebook. We're also on Instagram, Twitter, and we want to really get this content out there. And you that may be looking for someone to partner with, we're always looking for quality sponsorship, people that are like-minded, that are really impacting the world. We solicit your help and resources, and maybe you might find this interesting enough to partner with us. We would be so happy to conjoin with you in that effort. So I'm in the city of Chicago. I wish I was able to walk around with you guys. That is an idea. Maybe I'll film a little bit more outside of the city. They have some great, fascinating landscape and very rich history here in Chicago. Hadn't been downtown in a number of years. So usually when I come to Chicago, I'm in a suburban part of town. And I got a chance to work downtown, all week. And I tell you, it's just been marvelous. The weather has been fantastic. They told me, they said, wow, you came at a great time, because the weather has been fantastic since I got here. And it's been fluctuating between 70 and 82 degrees. The wind is blowing. That's why they call it the Windy City. It rained a couple of days, early morning, late at night. It drizzled a little in the early afternoon. But, the great thing is, I don't have a big coat. I don't have, earmuffs and gloves. I'm pretty much walking around in a t-shirt. sweatpants, jeans. I look California style. I feel like I'm at home. But yeah, it has been a blessing. And I want to say thank you again for tuning in, watching us, and supporting. I'm Hoopy. My brother is Charlie Mack, my co-host, who's not here in the city of Chicago. I got to bring him back. I sent him some footage, and I spoke with him on yesterday, and he was really, really excited. And so we do have family here, and so we're going to plan something to where we can come back and work. And I have a couple of more interviews to do, but it's been great. Thank you to the Coalesce Group once again, to Fruit Off the Vine Clothing and Apparel for girls and women. We appreciate what you both are doing in your industries. You've impacted your community, and at large, America has been made better. And we want to say thank you for helping the youth of America in dressing them and in educating them, because it has been a tremendous blessing for us. So pray for us. We're out of here. Like my brother always says, take your seatbelts off. The car has stopped. And we look forward to hearing from you again soon. Stay vigilant. Be patient in all decisions that you have to make. And I know that you will ultimately land on your feet. Take care. We're out of here. Peace.